What if I told you that you would get a check from your government every day for the rest of your life for simply doing nothing other than existing? I'm guessing this would most likely appeal to you. After all, who doesn't want more free money? This check could help you pay down debts, cover living expenses, and possibly even make it so you don't have to work again. I am, of course, talking about Universal Basic Income, or UBI for short, an important topic garnering much attention and debate in the financial and political world. But there has to be a catch, right? After all, nothing is truly free, and UBI may have consequences for both you as an individual and the planet as a whole. But before we deep dive into this one, I'm Matt from Liquid Loans, and this video is not intended to take a particular side on this social political topic, but rather to take you through both sides and allow you to make up your own mind. To understand where the idea of universal basic income comes from, we must first consider the massive technological changes that are coming our way. And in recent human history, we have experienced three distinct industrial revolutions. The first industrial revolution, which took place in the late 18th and early 19th centuries, was characterized by the introduction of new technologies such as the steam engine and the power loom, which led to increased productivity and the growth of manufacturing industries, and in turn the rise of the factory system, which saw many people move from rural areas to cities for work in urban factories. The second industrial revolution took place in the late 19th century and was characterized by the widespread use of electricity and saw technologies such as the telephone and the assembly line become commonplace. This led to the growth of large-scale industries such as steel and oil, and the development of new forms of communication, transportation, and the mass production of goods and increased efficiency. The third industrial revolution, also known as the digital revolution, refers to the shift towards the use of digital technologies, automation, and computerization in industry, which began in the latter half of the 20th century and is still continuing today. It's characterized by the widespread use of computers and digital tech in all areas of society, including the development of the internet, personal computers, mobile devices, and the integration of these technologies into the areas of manufacturing, transportation, communication, and healthcare. This revolution has led to the rise of new industries such as the software, technology, and digital sectors, and the transformation of traditional sectors such as manufacturing and retail. It also led to an increase in productivity and efficiency, as well as the development of new forms of communication such as email and social media, which have had a major impact on the way that we live and work. But it's the fourth industrial revolution, coined by Klaus Schwab, the founder of the World Economic Forum, which may be the most disruptive one yet.
New phase in human development. It will change actually us, our own identity.
This so-called fourth industrial revolution, also known as Industry 4.0, is characterized by the rise of smart technologies such as the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence and automation, and the integration of this tech into all areas of society, and is expected to have a huge impact on the workforce, leading to the elimination of certain jobs, the creation of new jobs, and the transformation of many others. Additionally, it is also expected to lead to more efficiency, productivity, and cost reduction, but also to a greater need for digital skills and adaptability to change. At first, this may seem to give us a better standard of living, but when you dive deeper, you realize that this fourth industrial revolution could leave millions and potentially billions across the globe without a job. In fact, it's estimated that automation could eliminate 73 million US jobs by 2030, which is roughly 46% of the current number of jobs. And as we push that timeline further forward, the outlook becomes even more concerning. Some estimates suggest that by 2050, nearly half of all current jobs done by humans across the globe will be obsolete. And if correct, this presents a very bleak future. So, what are some of the proposed solutions? Well, some would say a possible solution is the introduction of universal basic income, because UBI could provide every citizen with a regular, unconditional sum of money to cover their basic needs, and there are several reasons why UBI is gaining traction. Firstly, UBI could reduce poverty and income inequality by providing a minimum standard of living for everyone, no matter who you are, be it Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, or somebody just making $10 an hour, you will get a check each month from the government. Secondly, UBI could also simplify welfare systems, which are generally bureaucratic and difficult to navigate. Thirdly, UBI could also stimulate economic growth by providing people with more disposable income to spend on goods and services. And fourth, UBI could also provide more freedom and flexibility for individuals, as they would not have to rely on a specific job or employer for their basic needs. But wouldn't this just cause consumer price inflation by creating more money backed by nothing while chasing the same amount of goods and services? Well, proponents of UBI suggest that it would not cause inflation since funding would be provided by the current welfare system. Another question that then pops up is, wouldn't this just eliminate people's ambition and cause them not to work? Again, proponents argue that the perceived laziness of individuals on welfare comes from the complicated and cumbersome bureaucracy and gives everybody an income floor to work from and then be able to go and find work in a less stressful state of mind. UBI already has many prominent figures supporting it. Andrew Yang, for example, ran for US president in 2020 using UBI as a stepping stone, and other successful billionaires and well-known figures such as Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Klaus Schwab, and even Pope Francis of the Catholic Church are supporters. UBI has even been trialled in many places such as Canada, Finland, Brazil, Germany, Spain, and Kenya, but these trials were just that. Trials. They were not universal, but only a small community in each scenario, and the results were somewhat predictable. The participants reported to be less stressed and have an all-round better standard of living. For example, in Canada between 1974 and 79, they ran a trial in Manitoba where participants were given a basic income for just being alive, and they found a decline in doctor visits, a decrease in medical issues, and an increase in high school graduation rates. And so far, the case for UBI sounds somewhat convincing as a solution to the impending destruction of the job market and growing inequality across the globe. But what are the reasons why it wouldn't work? And could there possibly be a dark hidden agenda at play to further take away our freedoms? Before we get into that, if you're enjoying this video, please show your support by liking, subscribing, sharing, and commenting, because by getting this information out there to as many as possible, more people can be informed as to what may be in store for our future. But let's get back into it and find out what are some of the points people make when arguing against UBI. Well, first up, UBI would be an extremely expensive policy to implement, and although proponents of UBI argue that its funding would come from existing welfare programs such as Social Security and unemployment benefits, the simple fact is that it would not cover it. There is no way to make UBI work at the goal of $1,000 a month for every person without having to raise taxes, whether that be for everybody or just wealthier and businesses, such as increasing capital gains tax or taxing higher earners with higher rates. The classic counter-argument is that it would stifle the entrepreneurial spirit and disincentivize investment, and it could also result in businesses and wealthy individuals fleeing their respective countries. It's also argued that UBI could disincentivize work, as people would have a guaranteed income regardless of whether or not they have a job, and this could lead to a decrease in productivity and economic growth. In addition, UBI could lead to increased dependency on government assistance rather than fostering self-sufficiency and personal responsibility. Despite all the potential negative consequences of UBI, I still haven't mentioned my single biggest concern, and that is control. We have countless examples in the past of governments not letting a good crisis go to waste. For example, the events of 9/11
in the New York metropolitan area.
Any notion of superpower invulnerability in Americans' minds fell away on September the 11th.
Just a few months after the 9/11 attacks, Congress passed the Patriot Act,
which legalized surveillance on all US citizens, and we are still living with it today. Another example is the pharmaceutical mandates and digital passport requirements that happened from the events of early 2020. And rumor has it that the next future crisis that will not go to waste is the fourth industrial revolution. Forbes came out recently with an article titled "Welcome to 2030, I own nothing, have no privacy, and life has never been better." And yes, unfortunately, this is a totally legitimate article with contributions made from none other than the World Economic Forum, and all signs point to them laying out the foundations for a world in which you don't own your car, your house, and all of your financial transactions and movements are monitored and recorded. So, how does UBI fit into all this? Well, the same entity which issues you your money can also stop issuing that money if you do not meet certain requirements, and this ties nicely in with a social credit score, and if you say anything against the government or behave in an unapproved fashion, your UBI payments could be reduced or outright revoked. Now, this may seem extreme, but we've already seen the freezing of funds in Western nations, such as Canada, where the truckers who protested lockdowns had their bank accounts frozen. And in Australia, some welfare programs use cashless debit cards, which only work on pre-approved purchases. not to mention the trials of the 15-minute cities, a new urban planning model aimed at restricting movement in cities around the world. In China, it's seemingly much worse, with citizens who can lose their right to buy plane tickets or access banks if they speak out against the ruling CCP. Furthermore, the issuer could choose to issue a new form of money, for example, a CBDC, which could be used to monitor and store every transaction and be programmed to only be deployed on certain items or to be sent to certain people or businesses. I guess the major question that we have to ask ourselves is, do we trust our governments to do the right thing with even more power and control? Is a civilization with a more centralized financial structure actually a good thing? One thing is for sure though, and that is that we need to have more conversations like this to find out the full story with these world-changing topics. And I want to hear from you down below in the comments. What do you think? Do you think UBI is a good idea or a bad one? What are the benefits you think it could bring? And what are some of the possible drawdowns? And I really hope you found this video thought-provoking and insightful. I'm Matt from Liquid Loans, and if you like content like this, do hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so you're notified every time we drop new content on the channel. You can also tap the like button and share the video with someone who you think it may benefit. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.